They would give you permission.
Who was in charge?
You cover the sheriff.
No.
And you had a limit to what you could sell. I want to say $30 a number. And they'd give you an area, and if you wanted this area, no so-and-so's there, you know. But then he would tell you, so-and-so will come and see you every Friday. You hand them an envelope. Let's say 100 a month, or whatever it was at the time. But the one that used to bank the hot numbers was Ybor and Speedy Brown. Him and Speedy Brown used to bank the hot numbers, and hell, they sold more than all of them because they done it for everybody. All the hot numbers, they banked it, and they made some gracious money. In fact, Tony Ferlita from the crate factory, his first cousin has a commercial ricotta place. You know, they make ricotta commercially, and we had gone there with my cousins, and the old lady that still lived there, she made it the old style for us. You know, with the kettle.
Now, why was it called half liter?
That was it. My aunt that I looked for, her name was D'Amico. Nobody knew Rosalia D'Amico, because as soon as I said La Pacana, everybody knew her. And I don't know what the hell that word Pacano means, but that was my grandmother and grandfather's nickname. And his brother's name was Ybor CIty, Chucalodio.
Well, you have to write all that down, Sam.
But when I went on a Friday, I went to the plaza, and I was talking to the old folks. I said, you know what, la familia de Rosario Ferlita mezzo litro. He said, oh, it was a construction job on it. Kisu ya Rosario Ferlita. And I go over there, and it's a man, his son, and his grandson. They're about this tall. He looks up at me and he tells me, was your nano que era grande? I said, yeah, it was grande. He said, perché tu sei mezzo litro, sì, un litro e mezzo. I'm not a half a liter, I was a liter and a half. So this was about 5:30 at night. And he tells me, Monday morning, you come here, and I'll take you to the courthouse and get you all the papers you need.
Did you do that?
I says, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I says, but I will be back, because I still got 2 cousins left there. I will be back, and I'll come and look you up. He says, I'll have it. Giovanni Valenti Longa. All of the Valentis are known Longa. You got to have that. I don't know. That's what Nelson told me. Because Nelson was going to go with me before he died. We had made arrangement that he was going to go with me the next time I went to San Stefano to look for them. But I'm standing. John Valenti, L-O-N-G-A. Longa. But I'm standing in the front, and I hear somebody, hey, you Florida cracker. Here I am, you know, around the world. A strawberry picker and a bad one at that. And I recognized the voice. And there was a man that was a bachelor that was from the Genovese family that I met through the cousin that I was staying with. His daughter has a BMW dealership in the Bronx right now. I think they sold it finally. But she was married to Frangiamore was his last name.
Yeah, I get it.
I met this man through him, and then when he would come to Tampa, he would come and visit.
This year it's very late.
He steps down, and when I first went there, Nidia, my cousin Sina's husband, in fact, he served time shooting somebody.
You know, I'm trying to get
And
him
I
to go.
had my Masonic
I really
ring
wanted him
on.
to go to,
And we shook
Puerto
hands,
Rico.
you know.
We went there twice.
And he tells me if I was a comarra.
Not going to Puerto Rico.
What is that? I don't know what that word means. And he tells me, you know, Kulipuza Grossa, Mafiuso. And I said, no, I know them all, but I'm not.
Can I get that?
Maybe I can Sam one.
Well, when this
Puerto Rico one here.
Nino came down,
And I think
and he tells me,
some of them might come. I think
you know, he comes and hugs me, he says, your car, whatever you need, take you wherever you want to go. My cousin tells me, nah, I know your mom is. And this Nino tells him, no, if he was, he would be a capo.
Well, look at you.
In other words, I would be a hit.
When I watch it on
Then
Facebook.
I asked my cousin afterwards, I said, you keep looking at my ring. What's the significance of that?
Cameras backstage
He says,
now so that you can
every
see what they're
mafioso
doing.
all over the
I
world
watched
is
the
a
one from
Mason.
Vietnam, and I thought, oh, that's right.
Because the Greek, made a remark. If they send me back to Greece, they're going to kill me over there. So he had nothing to lose.
Now, why do you keep mentioning Greece?
Because there were Greeks and Chinese that they were important.
Oh.
They brought in, whatever, who had the money to pay for it, I guess. They weren't the only ones doing that.
No,
And let me tell you something. I remember hunting.
We were tied in with the Antonori, but not the part I want to hear from you.
When I used to hunt in Manatee County, and this was before I burned my eyes, so I was very young.
We did that at 17.
And I used to hunt. I done it. I was 15.
Oh, 15?
Yeah, the motor blew up on my face at your dad's garage at 17. That was just, in fact, the pictures in my annual was a touched up picture. But we were hunting with Joe Provenzano.
Yeah.
And when you hunt quail, you know where the quail are at. But every place I hit a jaw, that looks good. There'd be a swamp and a little blue smoke coming out. It'd be a still. I said, no, we can't hunt that. The place was full of stills. This is when it was open range. And we stopped Manatee County, Sarasota County. And we stopped to make the sausage, made the fire, got everything ready, and then Jimmy Lumia and Ted Suarez rides up. Jimmy Lumia and Ted Suarez drive up. They've been bird hunting. And then Sheriff Roy Baden and them drive up, because there was stills all over the place. They were all involved with that shit. That was the man that they protected. When they were in that area, Roy Baden was tied up with all of them. And this is where that ranch that I'm telling you, I don't know who had this ranch, but that ain't what we were hunting on. It was open range at the time.
Location, the deed was.
I don't want to know. I know it was one of the families from up the country. My father.
Y'all know him then?
Yes, he went to jail from here, man. But you know what happened with Johnny Smith?
Yeah, Frank Canella's the one that told him to give himself up.
No, well, yeah, but when Johnny Smith had a bar on 22nd Street.
Was this Rick's daddy?
Yeah. And he was a tough guy. Tough guy.
Who?
Johnny Smith. And some soldiers went in and caused some problems. And he threw them out, and they were going to wait for him. And he was going to fight. Well, knowing that you got something hanging on your head, call the law and let them take care of it. So he goes out there, gets in a fight with them, calls the law, and when they started checking, they realized what the score was, and they told him to get Pat Whitaker. And he went to his sister-in-law instead, Molly, and they got a lawyer for him. But when they got to New York, because Pat Whitaker gave them 3 prices. One, you don't have to leave Tampa for nothing, I'll take care of it. The other one, I don't guarantee it, But when they got over there, they got the lawyer drunk. And when it was over with, he wasn't saying Sing. And the first Republican Party in the city of Tampa was right there between 7th and 8th on 17th Street. And it was my dad, all of the Ferlitas, Antonori and them. And they done it because Dewey told them that if he got elected governor, he would pardon Johnny Smith. Well, we went over to see him, and we went with, oh damn it, I'll think of his name.
Were you there?
With my dad. I didn't go, they wouldn't let me in, I was too young. But they went in to see him, and it was my dad, my Uncle Salvatore, and he was a guy from 76th Street, the Italian village, that was A bookie.
Ferlita?
No, it wasn't that. I'll think of his name in a minute. He's related to the Sonardis. This guy was related to them. And they went in to see him. And I kidded the guard, you know, how would be the best way for me to get into Sing Sing? He said, kill somebody like me and you'll end up in Sing Sing if you don't end up in the chair, you know. But I remember going to see them.
You didn't go to Sing Sing.
No, they wouldn't let me in. I went there, you know, I had to stay outside. But they went in to see him.
Who was in Sing Sing?
Johnny Smith,
Oh, okay.
John Farina.
Okay, right.
Farina was his name.
I didn't know what he was, okay.
Well, that's how he ended up. I told you when Molly's husband sent the lawyer over there, they got him drunk and he ended up in Sing Sing. But he had, somebody had cheated him out of some money, you know, the mob or something, and he went over to collect his money and they got into it, Johnny Smith, and he shot somebody. And then he left and he came here.
Too many stories on that.
Well, that's how he
ran away from the law because he ran over a kid with his milk truck when he was
He
driving.
shot somebody. He went in, they had
That's a
cheated.
true story.
They had cheated him out of money.
And then why did they come up with this other story?
All these years.
When he was coming out of Sing Sing, there had to be somebody
How many
sponsored.
years did he serve? About 10?
No, he didn't serve that long. Because
And Sato put him to
when
work.
when he didn't get elected, that's when Truman got elected. But he did he pardoned him. He was still the governor, whatever. Dewey, whatever. He did pardon him.
That's because nobody.
But when he came here, to come here, somebody had to sponsor him, and your brother sponsored him. Now, I'm a union carpenter.
That's
I've
why
always
they
been.
gave him a job.
Gave him a job. He sponsored. In other words, he would have a job. Well, we happened to go on strike,
Let me ask
and
you.
we were picketing. And where's Johnny Smith picketing? In front of Sato's office.
Whose office?
In front of Sato, her brother's office.
yeah.
Ferlita and Maggio. What the hell are you doing here? Well, I'm walking a picket. Well, goddamn it, this man sponsored you. Go walk a picket some goddamn where else.
Who told you that?
I did. You know, what the hell's the matter with you? Are you thinking straight? This is the guy that helped you. And it hurt your brother's feelings. You know, Sato and Mike got hurt about that. Damn, they stuck their neck out for him. And he's going to walk a picket line in front of their office? That's not picket. They ran
Dewey
against
won.
Truman.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
in the papers it came that Dewey had won the election and that he was president. And actually it was Truman that beat him.
That was a Florida governor?
New York
New
governor.
York governor.
Well, how was that connected?
How is he connected?
Sing Sing is in New York.
Oh, he was sent there. I see, okay.
All right? And you go to...
Okay. But
He went to jail. That's why he
But
went
he
to
lived
jail.
here and he was sent to New York because there's a federal.
Yeah, that's where he was. My grandmother, late 50s, I think. My grandmother would have the coffee for them, and all of them had who put vermouth, who put brandy, you know. So hell, I'd get up to have my little bit of Cuban coffee with it, and I was just a kid. This was during the Second World War when they were working in the shipyard. It was Johnny Smith, Philip Valenti that had the hardwood. Excuse me, had the
No,
hardware.
you were working at the shipyard then.
Up there across from and all of the waitresses, all the sugar, everybody had to check with Uncle Doc at least once a month, especially the waitresses and stuff. And he would, you know, check them to make sure that there was nothing wrong, you know, venereal disease or whatever. But he done that.
So what's that guy's name?
His name was Joe Piccola. His
Connected with the hardware people?
there was a connection, but his sister was Florence. She lived on Buffalo, I'll think of her name. The other one was Pete Scaglione, that was the bartender at the Columbia and lived where your dad lived.
Yeah. Across the street.
One of them was that was Sarapico across the street, and in the corner was Pete. Those were their mother was Winslow's sister, and they had a brother that was retarded. His name was Pepon. He was always at the Columbia restaurant, and they'd feed him and everything, and he was from that. That's what I tell you. They were my neighbors. In fact, Marianne, one of his daughters, was married to Victor Campisi. You know Frank Campisi from the farmers market. His brother Victor was, and her son has a pharmacy on Sly and 56. They lived in that area. And his birthday is now, and Angel Ragnon's is in April. They went to school together, graduated from school together. Well, I went up with Cousin Ross, Dr. Truman, and I drove up.
Are you close friends with Malcolm here?
Slightly.
How about Hannah?
Slightly. They used to be with the Tampa Police Department, and when Joe used to have trouble at the Diamond Horseshoe, those were the two that we used to call to take care of everything. They were called the Whiz Kids with the Tampa Police Department.
I guess if I want the
And I called them that.
I can talk to those two
E.J.
men.
Salsina's mother died, and they had a service at St. Joseph. I'm walking out, and there's Malcolm and Walter. And Malcolm hugged me. "What you doing here, big man?" And I said, "My God, it's good to see the Whiz Kids." And Malcolm says, "My God, Sam, I haven't heard that remark in forever." They were known as the Whiz Kids. And Malcolm was big and tall. And to go to arrest somebody, they'd play good guy, bad guy to get them to talk. And Malcolm was always the bad guy. And Walter was a good guy. But the meanest one of the two was Walter. He was one.
Who lived over there, Walter or Malcolm?
Both of them lived there. In fact, yes,
Only one lived there.
both of them lived there. Walter's wife just died not too long ago.
Yeah, that's Walter. He was the mean one.
Really and truthfully, he was the mean. But when they would put that act out, being that Malcolm was so
He's
big,
a very private person.
very private, both of them.
But I don't know the other one that it said. Well, they've
Who's
got a
that,
lot of
Malcolm?
secrets. They gotta be private.
Malcolm, with all of his calls to the hospital, would end up
You're lucky he took
at
you.
Tampa General.
You're lucky.
Yeah, because I used to help him and hand him stuff, you know. And I asked my dad, and my dad said, "Well, you know, I can't tell you not to smoke." He smokes Lucky Strikes, and I had asked him for Lucky Strikes. He says, "It's not good for you. It smells bad." About 2 weeks go by, and we're going to the breakfast thing, and we go right by the lab, and Doc says, "No, wait a minute. I got to go in here for a minute." There's two big jugs. One pink lung, which was a healthy lung. Nothing wrong with it. The other lung was black with white spots. He says, "That's what happens when you smoke cigarettes." And all this time he's got the cigar in his mouth, and he knows what I was going to do. The first thing he did was grab his. I said, "What the hell are you doing smoking a cigar?" He said, "Cigar, don't do that." The cigarette, what happened at the time, what they did to cigarettes for shelf life, so that they would last, was what used to give you the cancer. But that was, and you want to know something, Mary? I've never smoked in my life.
Well, I didn't think
And
it.
every time I get the urge or something, I think of that day. I can see that, close my eyes and see that smoke come in, you know. And he had, Dr. Smithia was one of them. There was 4 doctors with him when he died, and they couldn't stop him from dying.
He had a massive heart attack?
Well, he was diabetic real bad.
Diabetic, and Nina never even knew he was diabetic.
Well, that's why he couldn't buy insurance, because he was a
But
diabetic.
Nina never knew he was diabetic. That's what she told me.
Well,
I told
she
her.
had to know.
I told her, Uncle Doc told me.
That's why he
himself.
could never buy insurance.
He had loaned me $10,000. He had loaned me about 3 months prior.
Cazzo, frido, fa. He was Italian, you know. His name was Washington. And when he landed, the Indians asked him, "Tu italiano mesmo, sir?" Because the Indians were Italian.
Sam, you talk too fast for me. We're going to have to slow down.